Alrighty, so we just completed a word review, and now we will be using those words to create simple sentences. And to me, a simple sentence is something that has a subject and a verb that is being acted on by the subject, and then possibly maybe a few other things in the sentence. But you might be thinking, okay, but Nikolai, we only know two verbs that we can conjugate for every pronoun. So, those are the verbs хотеть and мочь. Of course, we know many more verbs than that, but we only know them in the infinitive form. Or is it in the indefinite form? Yeah, one of those. But I say, in Russian, the verb to be in the present tense is implied, but not stated. And therefore, we can also work with the verb to be, and we don't even have to know it. How cool is that? I think it's pretty cool. So, just a quick example. If I want to say, he is good, there are three words, right? There's he, there's is, and there's good. But in Russian, there will only be two words, one for he and one for good, and no words for is, because is to be in present tense and it's implied. So all I have to say is on хороший. Yeah, I'm saying хороший, and notice my ending on the word хороший has to agree by gender to the pronoun on, which is of male gender. So, with this in mind, now I will say one more thing before we begin our challenge, and that is that sometimes in English we say it is when we don't have any specific subject in mind. There are times when we are using the word it as a substitute for a noun, like, I like your car, it's fast. In the second sentence, I use the word it in place of the car. But we also use the word it when we're describing the environment sometimes. And in this case, it's not referring to really anything. Like, you can think that it's referring to the environment, but it's not you explicitly stated. And so I would say that the word it is not actually referring to anything. It's just how we talk in English. So, for example, um, if I say it's hot outside. What is the word it in place of? It's not really in place of anything. In this case, in Russian, we just would not say anything in the place of it. So we're now getting rid of two words. We're getting rid of it, and we're getting rid of is, because it's to be in the present case. But anyway, that's theory. Let's get to practice so we can see what this means. It's loud here. Excuse me, it's loud there. Well, here I made a mistake. It should say там громко. Там громко. Here I have it saying тут, which is wrong. But my point was that we are saying this with only two words instead of the four words that we are using in English. You are a fool. And the word for a fool is durak. and I capitalized the A to show that it's emphasis on the A. Durak. And let's make it informal. You are a fool. Informal. Ты дурак. Ты дурак. Notice there is no word for are because it's to be in the present tense and we don't need to state it. And there's also no indefinite article. In English, we say you are a fool, but in Russian, the articles definite or indefinite do not exist. So we go from a fool straight to fool, which is durak. Ты дурак, which is something you will often hear like on a kid's playground as they interact with each other. How good it is here. Now remember, we can use the question word not just for the question. Как тут хорошо. Как тут хорошо. If you said как хорошо тут, that's also fine. He is a bad person. Он плохой человек. Он плохой человек. She is interesting. Она интересная. Она интересная. Notice the ending on the word интересная. It has to agree with the female gender. She's a good friend. Она хорошая подруга. Она хорошая подруга. Again, our ending on хорошая agrees with the female gender. And I hope you remembered to use the word подруга for the female friend. This is a loud car. Это громкая машина. Это громкая машина. This was a trick one. This was a curveball. The O here is not a typo. In this case, the word this, how should I phrase it? It's describing like an object, and then we state what that object is. So it pertains to the idea of an object or of something, but not to the car itself. And so it is not the adjective It is not the adjective for the car, therefore it does not agree with the gender of the car. I hope that makes sense. Just a second. Да, да, хорошо. Okay. Excuse me. Yeah. So that was a curveball. This car is loud. Эта машина громкая. Эта машина громкая. Now, in this case, the word "this" was uh, was the adjective pertaining to the car, and therefore it had to agree with the female gender. Who is he? Кто он? Кто он? Who are they? Кто они? Кто они? Who is this? Кто это? Кто это? Where are you now? Formal. Где вы сейчас? Где вы сейчас? I'm pronouncing the word сейчас here pretty much as it's written, but as I was saying before, in conversations, it's almost never pronounced to the letter. This house is cheap. Этот дом дешевый. Этот дом дешевый. In this case, the word "this" specifically describes the house, so it has to agree with the male gender of the house. And we have этот. One is good, but two is better. We may have gone over with this, we may have not. The word for better is лучше. Лучше. Do you remember how to say two? You will need it for this sentence. Один хорошо, но два лучше. Один хорошо, но два лучше. Another technicality is the word хорошо here, we're not agreeing it to the gender of один, which I believe is male. But we're actually using it as an adverb here. Lots of little confusing details in this video. All right, here's a pretty straightforward one for a change. He's a good son. Он хороший сын. Он хороший сын. The word хороший here describes the word сын, which is son, which is a male gender. And so the ending has to agree. This meat is expensive. Это мясо дорогое. Это мясо дорогое. And here, дорогое has to agree in gender with the word мясо, which is of middle gender. And also the word это, in this case, is describing the meat and has to also agree to the middle gender of the word мясо. How good it is that it's quiet here. This is a tricky one. Now, in English, we're using the word that in this case to join these two simple sentences. But in Russian, in this case, we would be using the word что. So in this case, the word that would translate as что, which normally means what? How good it is. How good it is that it's quiet here. Как хорошо, что тут тихо. Как хорошо, что тут тихо. In both cases, the word it was describing the environment, and so we don't include it. And in both cases, the word is the present tense of the verb to be, and so we also don't include it. How interesting it is that they are friends. Как интересно, что они друзья. Как интересно, что они друзья. A lot is not a little. Много не мало. Много, немало. It might seem like a kind of a Captain Obvious thing to say, but it's actually kind of a saying. Sometimes maybe I would go on a trip and I would take too much stuff, and my mother would tell me, "It's okay, много не мало," meaning the problem of having too much is not as bad as the problem of having too little. That's what that saying means. I believe this is the last sentence. Am I correct? Yes, I am. Wow. Yeah, this was a very tricky one, loaded with all sorts of unintuitive and never before seen to you guys situations. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. See you in class.